There are moments in life when everything feels like it's over. Imagine building a company from nothing inside a tiny garage, pouring into it your years, your passion, and your dreams, only to suddenly find yourself thrown out of it as if you never mattered. That is exactly what happened to Steve Jobs in 1985, when Apple's board of directors voted to strip him of all authority and remove him from the very company he built with his own hands. At that moment, newspapers talked about his downfall, and the world believed that Silicon Valley's golden boy was finished forever. Just another failure story added to history. But what nobody understood at the time was that Steve Jobs being fired was not the end. It was the beginning of one of the greatest comebacks in business history. The pain he felt was enough to destroy any ordinary person. He fell into deep depression, competitors mocked him, and the world treated him like a man whose time was over. But geniuses do not spend their lives crying over what they lost. They rebuild themselves in a way that makes the world regret doubting them. Jobs founded a new company called Next, then bought a tiny animation studio that everyone thought was a terrible investment, a company that would later become the empire we now know as Pixar. Meanwhile, Apple was collapsing. Weak leadership, fearful decisions, and failed products pushed the company closer and closer to disaster until by 1997, Apple was on the verge of death, nearly out of cash, drowning in losses, and only weeks away from total bankruptcy. And then, the impossible happened. The same people who once fired Steve Jobs came back begging him to save the company their own decisions had destroyed. But Jobs did not return for revenge through words. He returned for revenge through success. On his first days back at Apple, he looked at the endless line of failed products and said one sentence: "Stop this chaos. We are going to build great products only." Then came his legendary campaign, "Think Different." It was not just an advertising slogan. It was a declaration of war against ordinary thinking. And from the ashes of bankruptcy, Jobs began his revolution. First came the iMac, then the iPod. And after that came the moment that changed humanity forever: the iPhone. A device that didn't just transform one company. It transformed the way the entire world lives. Within a few years, Apple went from a dying company to the most powerful company on Earth, becoming the first company in history to surpass $1 trillion in market value. And the same people who once signed the papers to fire Steve Jobs later stood applauding the very man they believed was finished. The real lesson behind Steve Jobs' story is not about smartphones or technology. It is about a mindset that refused to let the world decide its ending. When the world closes a door in your face, do not see it as the end. Sometimes it is only a test before the greatest comeback of your life, because ordinary people see rejection as the end of the road, but geniuses see it as the beginning of something greater. And if you enjoy stories that reveal how extraordinary minds think and how impossible success is created, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because the next adventure will be even bigger.